One of the very first things that you're going to notice and experience when you have a spiritual awakening, when you start a spiritual path, when you do anything that creates a shift in your energy and paradigm shifts of consciousness, Kundalini awakening, spiritual awakening, the first thing you're going to notice is an acute disturbance in your sleep patterns. You'll either start waking up at odd hours, at very early hours in the morning, maybe 2:30 to 3:30, you'll wake up at some point in between this time. Or when you do go to sleep or you get onto the bed and you're really, really exhausted, you won't be able to sleep. 3, you will be asleep, you'll fall asleep for a few hours and you'll feel that something has just woken you up. Some of you experience a jerk-like sensation and you suddenly wake up. Some of you experience when you are awake at a certain time, but you don't feel fully alert at that time. You're not fully not tired or fully recuperated or rested, and you still feel like going back to sleep, but you can't go back to sleep. So either way, wherever you are on this, folks, the one commonality is that you will definitely be waking up between 2:30 and 3:30 in the morning. For some of you, it could be 4. It depends on where you are, but generally it's going to be at least 2.5 hours before the sun rises. Now, that is the time when we can take birth. That is the time of birthing. That is the time when we are most attuned to, or the ground is most fertile for us to become attuned to that which cannot be sensed with the 5 senses. You can sense certain things, and when we feel certain sensations, and they are with our 5 senses. But during this time, it is when we go beyond these 5 senses, when you can hear what can't really be heard by the ear. You are perceiving that which is not manifest, that which is not a gross reality. You are experiencing or witnessing or perceiving that which is a reality on the astral, subtle and causal planes. It won't be all 3 all the time, or it could be, or for some of you it could be one plane at a time, but it doesn't matter which one of these you're able to access at these times. Now, for those of you who experience sleep disturbances right at the beginning, now imagine that your energetic center is going through, how you bleed a radiator if you've got heating in your house, and how you literally repressurize a boiler. It's a bit like that. The pressure has dropped, and for it to function, you then do certain things, change a valve, get a new pressure gauge or whatever it is, but suddenly the boiler will start functioning. Before it sort of fully functions, there will be these little tweaks, or there'll be certain things that are happening. Yeah? So it's a bit like that you're moving from half functioning to suddenly, wow, I can hear all these things. So imagine when you've been sleeping all of this time before an awakening. So you would be asleep and you wouldn't even be aware if you were to wake up. Because what is happening is that there's a part of you that is more sensitive or more attuned to a part that is unconscious. But it suddenly becomes conscious, so you become conscious of it when all of you fall asleep. The physical body falls asleep, but you on the other planes are almost now more alert, more awake. Yeah? So now, as you are in this physical body and as you've known yourself to be, you're going to experience a different type of sleep. And the disturbed sleep, yes, initially. And when I say initially, folks, please don't put a time on this, because there really is no linear time. Everything that is happening in an awakening defies linear time. It is out of that whole loop of time, because time exists as long as the mind exists, right? So whatever it is at the beginning, or when you are sort of coming and waking up to this subtle reality of you, or the nuance, there is a subtle nuance of existence, you start to get these disturbances in your sleep because you're getting attuned to the energy, because you are now in communication with something else out there, with another side to you, another part of you that's on another plane. So when your body completely shuts down, you sort of wake up and you become alert to this. So the part of you that might have been asleep all this time, so that you were getting sleep before, is now awake. Yeah? Imagine that you have 1,000 miniature yous in the system of you. And out of the 1,000, you've only ever known 50. And the 50 yous are the yous that would fall asleep through the night and have been okay all this time, until you suddenly are in this state of awakening. So the rest of them, the 950, are the yous that are going to sort of now, they'll start waking up one by one. And as this process starts to happen, you then start to get disturbed in your sleep, because your body is adjusting, it's aligning with the astral subtle causal bodies, the energetic body. Everything is aligning itself. When you experience a more pronounced awakening, you might even go through bouts of absolutely no sleep. In fact, you might even go through points when you just don't feel that you need sleep. You're full of energy, you're buzzing. It's like being on adrenaline or being on this high. You're buzzing, you're so full of energy. So that is the other reason why we experience disturbances in our sleep, is that we now have more energy available to us than we did before. As you get rid of density, dense living, you start introducing a lightness in your being, and you sort of have this energy in you. But remember, that energy will need to be expressed in some way or the other that's constructive and expansive of consciousness, and not something that's going to reduce the viability of life, but we want to be pro-life. Now, as this is happening, for some of you who are, you've got this surge of energy, you might crash after this. So like having a burnout after being awake for several hours. Because whilst there's a part of you that's full of zeal, full of life, that you're just full of energy. You may not even be full of zeal or life, but you want to be doing something, or you don't know what to do because you've got so much energy. But your physical body is not aligned with the energy, which is why the energy has to loop in to your physical body so that it is being expressed to the physical body. When it's not, there's more energy, right? But the physical body is the physical body, so it will need its rest. But when you have these aligned, so that you're now channeling your energy through your physical body, you'll be doing things, you'll be maybe creative, maybe do, whatever it is, get more engaged in the physical life with this new surge of energy in you. Or you'll even become a healer, because with that level of energy, you'll find that wherever you go, you will be creating a sort of catapulting of healing in people around you, that they are not conscious of this, neither of you are you, but it is happening. So your energy is being used all of the time. When you start to get used to this, your sleep will naturally start to align. So you see, all these bits will start to fall into place. But until then, it is not unheard of that even when you integrate your spiritual Kundalini awakening, that you'll still be awake at that hour. Now, the other reason for being awake at that hour, which is what is known as the ambrosial hour, the time when we connect to the unseen, we connect to our reality, we connect to that which cannot be seen, we connect with the subtle, we connect with the divine, we connect with the source of it all, we connect with the source of us, with source. This is when you're almost woken up to say, hey, it's time to connect. Hey, it's time to connect. And whether you're sitting in meditation, whether you decide to have a cup of tea at that time, whether you decide to walk, whatever it is, when you're quiet at that time, or maybe you're just sitting, you're not doing anything, there's going to be a type of silence. You know, when the humdrum, everything is quietened down. And it's that you are in touch with. You're in communion with that. It may last 3 seconds, 4 seconds, 5 seconds, for some of you longer. And in that time, you start to download wisdom. So when I say download, it isn't that it's wisdom that you never had. It's always been there. It is there. Access to that wisdom is always there. But you are literally now getting attuned to it, like frequency, waves. So that hour is considered to be the hour when you can become most attuned to this. For those of you who have a lifestyle where you prefer to just be up early, you prefer to be awake before everybody else in the house, there's a reason behind that, yeah? Because at that time, we don't have all the human doing around us. We don't have all the noise around us. So there's very little input from externalized stimuli. And when this happens, you can listen more without distraction. But there is also a very magical thing that happens at this time, which is to do with the sun and the moon. It is the angle at which the sun, when it's rising, is placed so that at that time, just as you're about to meet the sun, you're literally getting the sun at its best moment for you to be able to receive it. Yeah? It is when you are most highly absorbent at that time. And it's highly recommended for you to be awake at that time anyway, even if it means you wake up and you go back to sleep. But when you're awake at that time, you sit, you do a bit of sadhana, you do a practice if you like. Or if you don't do practices anymore, you could just sort of sit and do nothing and maybe just have a cup of tea or just sit. Yeah. So folks, these are some of the most common reasons why you have sleep disturbances. There are some other reasons that you can have issues with sleep, which are, for example, if you've got a Kundalini awakening, because of the awakening, it will cause certain chemical reactions in your body as well. Apart from all these other grand experiences that it sort of signifies and all of these other things that are happening. On a very physical level, biological level, there are lots of different chemical reactions that happen in our bodies. Now, as this is going through, if your Kundalini is in your digestive system, if your Kundalini is, say, it is in your throat, it is in your heart, there are certain things that will happen, such as producing nitric oxide. Your gut, it might experience a sort of, the lining of the gut might feel irritated. So when all of this is happening, you may not feel like eating. I mean, this is when a lot of you will experience weight loss as well. You will have some digestive, you sort of had intolerances to certain food, but actually you may not really have an intolerance. It's just that your gut at the moment is overloaded. It needs now digestive enzyme or pre-probiotics. It needs you to take care of it in whichever way it is that you find for yourself. So a lot of us, when we are on this Kundalini awakening path, the one thing that we completely forget to do is to take care of our bodies and to listen to the body, because we sometimes get carried away with all these sensations and, we are spaced out. But it could be that we're not spaced out, or we are spaced out, but maybe we just need to put a bit of food in our bellies, which might make us a bit ungrounded. So that's the other reason why your sleep will be disturbed, because you don't have enough to keep you holding on to this body here. Yeah. So as this happens, you're generating more heat, more tap is coming to you, but that extra tap is going to create an imbalance. And this is something we've covered in our Kundalini Out of Balance series. I mean, there's a ton of posts on that, so please do have a look. So this excess tap, or this excess heat that is now being generated, is going to create absolute chaos when it comes to your sleep. Yeah. The heat that is created is not the kind of heat that we feel like when we're feeling hot. It's not even like a hot flash, but it's a very internal, under the skin heat. You'll want to go and sit outside. You won't want to be fully dressed, or, it'll be very difficult for you to even eat foods that are warm, or you won't even want to eat because this is where you feel nauseous. So when you have generated that sort of level of heat, you now need to balance it with a level of cold. The lunar has to come in. When you are able to do this, your sleep again will be restored. So that's another reason. Some of these reasons are a little bit, more common than others. And the one that sort of is on repeat all the time is you waking up between 2:30 and 3:30. I mean, that's pretty much something that happens to a lot of you. Eventually, at some point, some of you may even report that it's now not sleep disturbances that you're getting, but you're unable to wake up. You're suddenly going through moments where you need tremendous amount of sleep. So you could go to sleep, you sleep 8 hours, you sleep even 10, but you don't wake up feeling great. You don't feel that you've even had any rest. You don't feel rejuvenated. And once again, what's to blame for that? Not blame, but what the reason for that is, again, that you are awake in these other places. So you are active sleeping. You're not restfully sleeping. So the sleep that you're having is very little. Out of the 8 hours or 6 or 10, however many hours that you're laying on that bed, you're probably just asleep for 2. As long as you can get 2.5 hours of uninterrupted sleep, again, not medically advising you, and it's uninterrupted, clean sleep, you will not wake up feeling tired. So this is how we say the yogis sleep, the yogic sleep. You don't need that much sleep because you've mastered your cycle, your rhythm. So for those of you who will now feel that, I just want to keep sleeping, listen to your body. Do what you need to do. Yeah. Because you are working, or your body is working overtime in other ways that you're not aware of, because you're waking up to this whole new world, this whole other dimensions out there in which you're very active. So the minute you sort of come back into this physical body and you're able to, align yourself and now work with this body, so there's not parts of you that are all over the place, but you are in sync. Each part is in sync with itself and knows itself to be the self, so that all of these parts of you come together as one, folks. Sending you so much love, and let me know if there are any particular sleep issues that you want and for us to have a discussion about, which we will. Lots of love. Take care.